And I'll be cutting my corn down a bit at a time here and cutting it up into small sections so it'll compost easier. It used to be I just let it compost in place, but I'm not going to be planting the garden here next year. And I'll be just piling it all up here in the this existing garden for the time being until it kind of composts down a little bit. Then I'll probably move the compost elsewhere. To start with, I usually leave it about 2 foot tall or so, and that's so I can just kind of do like this and break it off. It's really easy to break off at the top of the ground if you leave it a couple of feet tall. And then after that, you can go ahead and section it up just how small you want it. Technical term for this stuff here that's left out in the field from your corn, the stubble that's left over, however you want to term it, is stover. And it's one of the things that people talk about when they talk about, I don't know if I pay a lot of attention to alternative fuels, ethanol being one of them, which, you know, I'm never going to be into that kind of scale, but really ethanol, the U.S. is not a good place to produce ethanol from corn because it's so much less efficient than it is to produce it from sugarcane, which they do in Brazil. I mean, a field of sugarcane, you could probably get 7 times maybe the fuel out of it than you can a field of corn. But one of the things they say is, well, we can produce cellulosic ethanol from switchgrass, which I'm not too familiar with switchgrass, and the corn stover. But most farmers really want their corn stover left in the field because it just, you know, it provides a good ground cover for the winter time, and it, you know, it just composts, is self-composting eventually. And if you stripped all of the corn stover off every year, yeah, you'd just be depleting your soil, just something tremendous. So there's not really too much of a future in cellulosic ethanol from corn stover, that's for sure. And by the way, these are Fiskars brand lopping shears. These are really excellent lopping shears. They have this little extra mechanism right here. Acts as something of a lever, I guess you'd say. And it makes it to where you have to push like maybe only a third. I haven't read their advertising, but it's probably only a third as hard you have to push as if it didn't have this lever. They make them in this size and about 6 inches longer. If you got any lopping to do, I highly recommend you do your lopping with Fiskars. Okay, no use trying to do it all in one day. I'll do like a 2/3 of a row a day here and there. Hi, Susie. Here's Susie. There's Susie. Let's see if we can get a shot of Susie here. There's Susie. Goodness, what you doing, girl? Huh? I'm about out of battery power. It's a good thing I quit. I wouldn't have been able to show you here. That's right, and my battery would have been dead. But this is what we've got left here when we get done with a row. Although most corn won't look quite like this because most of it won't have beans in it. But yeah, that's what it looks like. And that's about it. I got plenty of corn out of this. I got plenty of beans out of this. So let's not sing too sad a song for the passing of the bean and corn plants. I'm looking forward to eating my corn and beans this winter and sitting on my butt. Bye, everybody. What are we doing? What you doing? Yeah. It's hard to film when you're on a tripod sometimes when you're moving the camera around. Susie! Normally, I just let all this stuff compost in place because I'd be planting something here next year. But since I'm not planting anything down this far next year, this is just going to be where I plant watermelons, cantaloupe, and cucumbers next year. So I'm not going to be planting right here, so I'm going to go ahead and compost all this stuff right here. So, got a lot of work to do. And of course, because of all these bean roots being in here, which are nitrogen fixing, this compost should be extra high in nitrogen. Good stuff. Okay, I'm not quite done with my raking up. I mostly am, but I thought I'd better film this little bit here while I still had just a little bit of light. Now a lot of this stuff you see here, see this stuff here, that's well, that's not a good example of it. This is a good example. A lot of this stuff is mulch that I put in there from my pampas grass plant. So it will serve this purpose as mulch, and that's going to wind up being compost. And of course, you know, I've got just thousands of them there in the mix. So we come down here, and here's how big a pile it makes. So this is 2 rows of the 6 rows. So I'll wind up having 2 more piles, just approximately this same size, maybe a little bit smaller because the beans didn't do quite as good. So this is a combination of corn, beans, and pampas grass and weeds. So as you can see, this is going to be some really good stuff in the end when it composts down. And it'll compost down just, of course, much smaller than what you see there in the end. And there's what the completed pile of future compost looks like here from this 2 rows of corn and beans and weeds and pampas grass and